Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Tom Rivera, and today is October the 10th, approximately 1:20 or so in the afternoon, and we're at Cal State San Bernardino in the Fowle Library. We're taping today in room 4005, and with me is one of our directors of the project, Mr. Frank. Frank, I forgot your last name. Acosta, Mr. Frank Acosta, who's one of our committee members. And our guest this afternoon is Miss Virginia Horta Gonzales. Virginia, welcome to our taping session this afternoon, and thank you for being with us this afternoon.
Thank you
All
for
right?
asking me.
No, Virginia, did I pronounce your name right?
Yes.
It is Gonzales, ¿verdad?
Not Pauline.
Okay, it's not Pauline,
Okay.
like I called you all afternoon.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get started. Virginia. First of all, tell me about yourself. When were you born?
I was born on October the 9th, 1931.
Uh-huh. And when did your mom and dad come to Colton?
That I really don't know. I know they were married. I have it here. They were married on August the 16th, 1924.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how long they were here before they got married.
Uh-huh. And when they came here, were you born in Colton?
No, I was born in San Bernardino,
Uh-huh.
and then we lived in Highland, in
Uh-huh.
East Highland.
East Highland.
El Ranchito.
El Ranchito in East Highland.
Mhm.
And then you came to Colton, and then in Colton, where did you live in Colton?
All the time until I got married, we lived on at 395 West O Street. in
Uh-huh.
Colton.
And that was near La Calle Cinco.
La Calle Cinco.
So you were from the Calle Cinco barrio.
Yes.
You were from the Calle Cinco barrio.
barrio.
And then you went to Garfield Elementary
Yes,
School.
I went to Garfield Elementary School.
And then you went to Wilson
Then I
Junior
went
High
to
School.
Wilson.
And you mentioned that you were the award winner at.
Yes.
Tell us about that award that you got at Wilson.
Well, see, nobody knew who was the winner.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't until.
What
that-
was the award, Virginia?
Well, they used to, my teacher, Mrs. Baker, whom I loved dearly, Mrs. Carrie Baker, she told me that this award, after I had won the award, she said she was so happy for me because it's given to the, what did you, I can't remember the words exactly, for being a top student,
Okay,
I guess I would
okay.
say.
Uh-huh.
So that's what she told me at the time.
That you were the top
That
student?
One of the top students,
Okay.
yes. But I think it was more like I was the nicest person.
Uh-huh.
Because I think there were kids there that were very
So
smart.
you were the top student, and
Yeah.
what was the name of the award?
American Legion Award.
The American Legion Award.
Mhm.
Do you remember what year that was?
Yes, 1947.
Uh-huh.
1947.
You were the girl that got the
Yeah.
American Legion. Who was the boy that got the American Legion?
The boy was Manuel Oliva.
Manuel Oliva.
Uh-huh.
And after graduating from Wilson, you went to Colton High School?
After graduating from Wilson, yes, I went to Colton High School.
Uh-huh. And then you were at Colton till your sophomore year,
To my sophomore year.
and then you met Johnny Gonzales.
No, not really.
Okay.
I didn't meet him then. It wasn't until after I was out of school that I stopped going to school. I
Well,
met
tell me,
Johnny.
why did you stop going to school?
What?
Yes.
Well, like I said, I really had no support from my family to keep going. I had a big family, I told you, 10 of us. And one of my brothers, my oldest brother was married, so he had his responsibilities, and the other ones were working, and they weren't making that a lot of money, so I'm sure they didn't want to let go of their money for me.
Uh-huh.
So nobody really cared whether
Uh-huh.
I kept going or not. So
Uh-huh.
I just stayed home one day and didn't go back to school.
Okay. And how old were you? What year was that? Was that your sophomore year?
It was after my father passed. My father passed in 1948.
Oh, okay.
And it was right after he passed that. He passed in June of 1948. And I was about maybe close to 16 or something like that, because I got married in 49 and I was 17 years old.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay. So you were kind of left alone then? You were kind of left alone?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
How about your mom? Your mom and dad divorced?
Mhm.
Uh-huh,
They were divorced.
uh-huh.
Yeah, and we lived at that house, 395, with my dad for the longest time.
Uh-huh.
And he passed away. My brothers and sisters stayed there, except my married brother. He lived somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And then I met John.
Uh-huh.
I met John around that
Uh-huh.
time.
So you were telling me that growing up yeah, on Fifth Street and O Street was kind of, first of all, a lot of work because you had to take care of the household, the
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
And secondly, it was a lot of fun too,
Yes.
because you had the field, the alfalfa field there.
Yeah.
You had the
Acequia.
acequia,
Mhm.
which was,
It was a canal. It
yeah,
was a irrigation canal.
the
But it was-
irrigation canal that you guys swam.
Yeah.
And then you also did a lot of work. You helped your dad.
Yeah.
Tell us how you helped your dad.
Well, first of all, first he had that, okay. First, like I said, I was very, very young, and from what my mother told us, he used to work at the picking oranges in East Highland.
Okay.
Or Redlands and East Highland
Uh-huh.
area. And my father had a little pickup that he fixed, he enclosed, and he used to sell vegetables he grew. He used to sell vegetables house to house, going around selling vegetables. And then we came to Colton after, I guess they didn't make it there or something, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we moved to Colton, and where we stayed. But my father at that time got this bigger truck and started working for the PFP, and that he was selling used lumber. Do you remember?
Tell us about the used lumber. You said that he
They
got the
dis-
bigger truck and the PFE would dismantle the
Yeah, they
boxcars.
dismantled it.
And then they would
dismantled.
throw the used lumber on
Mhm.
in the dump.
Mhm.
And
No,
then-
they dismantled the trains, the cars.
Okay.
And it was like a first come, first serve, because I think there were three men from South Colton that did the lumber thing. And my father was usually the first to get the better part of the lumber. And he'd load his truck, bring it home. He had a dump truck. And to us it was like, okay, he's got more leña, you know. And then when he was done for the day from bringing loads, maybe two loads, in the evening, especially in the summer, he'd make us go out there. He'd say, I need help, Spanish, tiene que ayudar, And he'd put those caballos, those horses?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
he'd put the lumber like
Uh-huh,
that,
uh-huh.
where the nail was sticking out.
Uh-huh.
Then we'd hit the nail, fall down on the ground.
So you would clean up the lumber
The-
and take off the nails.
Yes, that was
And you had
what-
some sawhorses that you would put the
Yeah,
lumber on.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and that was, what do you call it? He used to call it siding. It was the sides of the
The boxcars?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And that was supposedly the better part of the lumber. And he sold a lot of wood to, especially to the poor people, because they couldn't afford going to a lumber yard,
Mhm.
a new one. He sold a lot of that lumber to the, no sé cómo decir, to the black people
Uh-huh.
that lived off of Waterman.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember those
Yes.
shanty towns?
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yes, of
A lot
Waterman,
of
yes.
those little casitas were
Right.
made with my father's lumber.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
he used to take the lumber, deliver it to their houses, and he sold a lot of it to those people.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of lumber to Colton people too.
Oh yes, oh yes,
Uh-huh.
oh yes. Especially to the south part, like when the Gonzales lived in
Yes,
that area, to
yeah.
those people that
On
lived
Pine
there.
Street, on O
and
Street.
Flores and Flores Street and Fernando Street.
Congress?
Congress.
Okay.
A lot of those little houses in the back.
Yeah.
I don't think they're there anymore.
Uh-huh.
But he, the mercados,
Uh-huh.
those areas, he sold a lot of lumber to.
Well, he sold them to my grandfather too,
Uh-huh.
because I remember using the boxcar lumber
Uh-huh.
to build extra rooms or add to the house.
That's
or
what they
build
did.
build la casita de atrás, the back
Uh-huh.
house.
A shed,
Yeah.
I know my father-in-law did.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, he sold a lot of
So
lumber.
you used to clean up that lumber?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and that's where we got all that nails and metal, and, there were little pieces of metal, which we didn't know what it was until we were raking it. It was just metal.
So the nails that came from the lumber, you used to collect them also
Yeah.
and put them in cans, and what happened? What did you do with those cans?
We on the weekend, we would sit on the curb and wait for the junkman. He'd come and buy the nails from all the metals.
So he would buy the metals from you, the nails and
Yeah, all that
yeah.
stuff.
And you
Yeah.
you told me that you kind of thinking about it, feel a little badly selling the
After I got older.
your iron
Mhm.
to the scrap men,
Mhm.
because the scrap men were Japanese.
Mhm.
And what was your feeling about that afterwards?
After as I grew older, when the war came, I thought it was very sad because, we used to see these little posters where Uncle Sam was pointing at you and all this kind of stuff, and he, you would see, loose lips,
Uh-huh.
do whatever. Anyway, we used to think, as we grew older, we were in junior high school, I wondered, if it was my father's metal that had part to do, with that.
So you had a little guilt feeling?
Yeah, I did,
A little guilt
To this day, when I remember,
Uh-huh.
I think about it.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
God forgive us if we did,
Well,
because
you-
we were
you-
too young, we didn't know.
Well, you mentioned the World War II,
Mhm.
and your brothers went into the war.
Mhm.
How many of your brothers
Two
were?
brothers.
Two of them?
Two.
What were their names?
Henry and Arthur. Mhm.
They were both in the Army?
Army,
or-
they were drafted.
They were drafted?
Mhm. Mhm.
Did they finish high school?
None of them.
They just
None.
finished
I
high
only
school?
have had two sisters that graduated high school.
Uh-huh.
I didn't.
Uh-huh. So anyway, when they went to fight in the Army, they showed a picture of you.
That was my youngest brother that did that. He was on his way
The
to
youngest, what was it, your youngest
Arthur.
brother's name? Arthur.
Arthur. My older brother was already married, but we used to write to our older brother all the time, to my two brothers. But my younger brother was more the type to, this is my carnala.
Uh-huh, this is my
And like I
sister.
said, we were very young, so. But I had a sister that was a year or two older than me, and then one that was 1 year younger than me. But I was the holala, I was the one that wanted to write back to them.
Oh, you were the one that was
Yeah.
flirting.
Yeah, I was the one that was all excited getting the mail.
Oh, well, how did they, what happened? Your brother showed the pictures
Picture.
to his buddies in the Army?
Yes, it was a little picture of my 8th grade picture,
Uh-huh.
my junior high picture, just
Uh-huh.
before I went to high school. And I looked grown up in that picture. I still have that picture. And I think that these boys must have thought I was about 17, 16
Uh-huh,
or
uh-huh.
something like that. But no, I was about 13, I think. Anyway, all of a sudden I was getting mail from everywhere. Everywhere. Somebody passed my address to somebody, to somebody, to somebody. So I was getting a lot of mail. I still remember my mailman's name, Mr. Wesley. He'd say, Virginia, fan mail, Virginia, fan mail. I was all excited.
Did you answer any of that mail?
Oh, every mail, every one of them, every mail I got,
Uh-huh.
I answered.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was always writing,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So that was quite an adventure for
Yeah,
you.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
It was exciting until when my brother came home and he found out I was writing to his friends. And I said, well, you're the one that showed my picture, you're the one. And he said, that's okay, but just don't write anymore. But so I think I stopped at that time.
Uh-huh,
I think
uh-huh,
I did.
uh-huh,
I still kept getting mail though,
uh-huh,
but I think I stopped writing.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then Virginia, you married young. You were 17.
17.
Uh-huh. And when you married John Gonzales.
John Gonzales.
Uh-huh. And how did you meet John?
Well, I didn't really meet John. I saw him cruising the high school. And all the girls were crazy about John. And one day I just wanted to see what John looked like. Why would they run into the fence and, oh, there's Johnny, oh, there's Johnny. And I wanted to see what Johnny looked like, because he had a really nice hot rod.
Uh-huh.
Really nice hot
Oh,
rod.
he had a hot rod?
Yeah, I have pictures of that.
Okay.
I have pictures of that. I don't have them with me. But anyway, I liked his looks. He was very handsome. And, but that was all. That was all I was doing until I was going home one day from school. He was working at Miller's Honey on 3rd Street. I used to walk to school from 5th Street to O Street to high school. And every time I went by the factory right there, I used to hear two guys calling me. One was calling me by name. I liked another boy there, but Johnny was the one that was calling me. I passed through there because I wanted to see this other boy, but Johnny was calling me. And he didn't call me by name because he didn't know my name. He called me baby. Hey baby, okay? That was funny. Anyway, I had to go through there. That's the only way there was to go to school. And then I forgot about him, you know. By the time I was got to school, I didn't even remember the boys over there. But do you remember the Portillos?
Yes.
Okay, Tony Portillo and them?
Yes.
Okay, Tony was Johnny's best friend. So Tony was the one that was always go between, you know, that he wanted me to meet Johnny, but I didn't like Tony, so I never met John.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what happened is that I was running after one of my little sisters on 5th Street because my mother wanted her, but she wouldn't come to my mother, so she, you know, my mother, Linda, okay? I was running after my little sister, and I saw this car go by, this hot rod, and I said, oh no, oh no. I was very young, oh no. So he stopped the car, and he just said that he was gonna be my husband, that I was the girl he was gonna marry. What? No, I will never marry a Gonzales, or a Chavez, or a Sanchez, or a Lopez. I was already Lopez. I was never gonna marry one of those common names. And we were married for 57 years.
Wow.
57 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when you got married, where did you live when you first got married? Did you live with close to your mother-in-law, or?
No, no. When we first got married, we were living near the base in this little apartment like.
And after the apartment, you moved to?
I moved to Pine Street to help
Okay.
Furman, to
Okay.
help Furman out.
Now, who was Furman?
Furman was Johnny's brother,
Okay.
and they needed help, you know, with a rent. So we moved in. My mother-in-law talked us into moving in, and we lived there for just a few months because I found out I was pregnant, and then we moved to Arturo Chavez's.
Around the corner from Pine
Yeah,
Street, okay.
right,
Okay.
with Jenny and Arturo.
Yeah.
They had built a little, it was a trailer converted, and she added a kitchen and everything that a little house has.
Uh-huh.
So we lived there until the baby was born,
Okay.
and then from there we bought the Venecan house.
Uh-huh. And the Venecan house was on Congress.
No, the Venecan house, no, that was their last house.
Oh, the last
No, we
one.
bought the one on Pine,
Okay.
right next to the Gonzales.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
And do you remember Gilbert
That's
Dominguez
right.
and Jane Dominguez and Gilbert?
Yes.
Them? Well, we lived right between them.
Roberta.
Roberta, exactly.
Yes,
and Jane.
right.
Yeah. all of
Virginia,
them.
you bring back a lot of memories
Oh
to
my
me.
gosh. Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Now, as You also had a neighbor across the street from
Miss-
Pine Street,
mhm.
Mrs. Blakely.
Mrs. Blakely.
Tell me about Mrs. Blakely, Bertha Blakely.
Yes,
Tell me
that
about
was her
Bertha
name,
Blakely,
Bertha.
yeah.
I don't remember very much about Mrs. Blakely other than when she would visit my mother-in-law.
Uh-huh.
And I knew she had a daughter named Juanita, and
Mhm.
I did not know them personally.
Uh-huh.
But I used to hear my mother-in-law and her, I don't know what they were talking about, but they were always laughing. And since Mrs. Blakely lived here in the corner, we lived right on the other side of her, where
Uh-huh.
Arturo lived.
Uh-huh.
So we could always smell good food.
Oh, so
Always smelled good
Miss-
food.
Mrs. Blakely was a good cook then?
I would think so. I
Uh-huh.
never tasted it,
Uh-huh.
but I would think so, because it always smelled good.
So your impression of Mrs. Blakely was this, she's just a wonderful
Yeah, that she
person?
was a home person, a mom that did the cooking and things like that.
And her daughter was Juanita?
Juanita.
And one of the schools here in San Bernardino is named after Juanita Blakely.
Is it really?
Yes, here in San
Wow.
Bernardino.
Is
Yeah.
she still alive?
No, she passed away about 10, 15 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Now, that was the only black family that we had here in South Colton, in Colton.
Mhm.
The Blakeleys were the only,
Mhm.
and I remember Mrs. Blakely had a grandson,
Mhm.
Johnny Blakely.
I don't.
And with your brother-in-law, Danny,
Mhm.
Danny had a baseball team, and John played on Danny's baseball team. I think he was first baseman,
Mhm.
and your brother-in-law, Danny, was a pitcher, and I was playing second base
Mhm.
during that time.
Mhm.
Now, around the corner over on Flores Street, was it Flores or?
Flores and Fernando.
Fernando, there was another black family.
Yeah, but I never knew that.
Yeah, I think it was the Lewis family.
I do not
The
remember.
Lewis
that.
family. So we had two black families in the city of Colton.
I knew there was one, but I did not know them.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So, you mentioned your mother-in-law's house,
Mhm.
and then the Vanakins, and then the Dominguez,
Mhm.
and then who followed after that?
Well, remember the Galvanes?
Go ahead, yeah?
Right behind the Dominguez. The Galvanes, there was a big family
Uh-huh.
there. And I don't remember who lived after them. And then, of course, it was started, the Gonzaleses, started with Mel, Chon, Furman, Tommy, and Nana Chavez.
Uh-huh. Oh, Teresa, how about Teresa?
I know, always knew her as Nana Chavez.
No, before that, Teresa, Tomasa.
Tomasita,
Uh-huh,
yeah.
Tomasita, she was your sister-in-law.
Sister-in-law.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she worked at Rexall's for the longest time.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, and then there was a Gonzales family, no relation to us. But
So Nana was the mother of Arturo Chavez
Mhm.
and all the Chavezes in
Mhm.
Colton.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think they had a brother, Arturo had a brother named Frank Chavez,
Uh-huh.
I think so.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember. But I remember Nana and the Jenny Chavez. She
Uh-huh.
was my mentor, Mrs. Chavez. I loved her so much.
Uh-huh.
She taught me a lot, 'cause I was just married. I asked her a lot of questions and all that. Taught me how to separate my clothes when I'm washing, things like that. But I learned a lot from
Uh-huh,
Mrs.
uh-huh.
Chavez.
Uh-huh.
And then I became friends with Linda and Tony,
Uh-huh.
which were much younger than me.
Mhm.
Tony was 12 years old and I was 17. So
Mhm.
I was 5 years older, I believe, something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
But we've been friends ever since.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I
So
like
the whole Gonzales were owned Pine Street then?
Yeah, we wanted the city to call it Gonzales Street, but nobody had the nerve to go and ask.
Now, across the street, we had the Veterans Park, the
Mhm,
ballpark.
mhm, and the
then-
projects.
And tell me about the projects.
My sister-in-law lived there. I didn't
This-
like it.
These were the old projects, were
Mhm,
they?
the old
Okay.
projects
Uh-huh.
for a lot of the military guys that came back lived there, like Guy and Doris and my brother, and there were others that I can't remember their names.
So those projects were built for military people returning back, eh?
Not
Must
really.
have-
Anybody could move there, but there
Uh-huh.
was a lot of military guys that came back.
And lived there?
Mhm.
Ah, you mentioned some of the people. The Martinez brothers?
Mm-hmm. But the Martinez brothers I knew from across from us on Old Street.
Uh-huh.
That's where I knew them.
Yeah.
Because I was.
No, but they also lived in the project, the old
Uh,
project?
Guy did.
Okay.
Mon didn't.
Okay.
Mon lived
Who
with
else
his
lived in
mother.
those projects that you can remember?
Oh, Doris and Guy, my brother. No, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can see them, but I can't remember
Huh.
their names.
And then next to, in front of the, behind the projects, we had the baseball field. The baseball field,
It was a small baseball field to the back.
right.
Donde jugaban rebote.
Next to the
Remember?
rebote, yes, next to the
Father
rebote.
Valencia?
Right.
Okay. Behind him, behind that little area, I think they used to play baseball.
Uh-huh.
But it was a very small field, very small
Uh-huh.
field. But do you remember the Lasardis?
Yes, they lived
Tony
on,
and Joe?
they lived on Old Street.
No, they lived right there on Pine.
Oh, they did?
The Lasardis. Yeah,
Okay.
Joe Lasardi married Molly. And then there was Tony. I can't remember his wife's name. And I think they're all gone now. But Molly's still alive.
So
Molly,
they started live next to
uh,
which of your, where on Pine Street?
before, they lived before, I think it was before Mel.
Mm-hmm.
Before Mel.
Okay.
There was, I think so, but I don't
Okay.
remember. But anyway, they were not maybe a house away from each other.
I'll be darned.
Yeah,
I'll be
and
darned.
all the guys used to gather right there under their big trees and play poker and drink. But yeah,
So they had a good neighborhood, everybody got together
yeah,
and,
yeah. Everybody knew each other. Everybody knew who lived where. It was nice. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. I was sorry that they condemned our place
oh,
because
tell me, why did they condemn your,
Well,
that part of the property?
you can't fight City Hall.
Okay,
So they said, either you sell or we'll condemn it. So we had to sell
no, why did they want the property?
because they wanted the project.
Oh, they were gonna build a new set of
That's
projects?
the one that's there now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that's there now. And look what it is. It's, my grandson used to work for the city and his part of the work was going, they would send him to certain apartments to repair something or other. And it was not, I wanted him to get out of there. I wanted him to stay with the city, but not to go to those areas.
Yeah.
But a lot of gangsters in
Yeah,
there.
so those projects were built in 50, 52 or
Oh,
so?
wow, around there.
Uh-huh, they were
Oh.
brand new projects in
Mhm,
52.
mhm.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Very, very nice projects.
Very nice.
So, so that when they condemned, where did you go after they condemned your property?
When they condemned it, we moved to Riverside Avenue in North Colton,
Uh-huh,
near Valley College. I liked it there. We lived there for 18 years.
and then after that?
That's when we bought where I live now.
Oh, okay, okay,
And we've been there for 44 years.
okay.
44 years. So I've been there a long time.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
We're happy there. We like it there.
Mhm. Let's see, I was gonna ask you about the flood in 1938. We had a
Oh.
big flood in
Oh,
Colton.
do you remember that?
I know, I
Really?
wasn't born yet, I wasn't
It
born
took
yet.
all of the houses that were on the riverbank. It took all those casitas,
Okay,
the river.
on O Street, M
Um,
Street,
Okay, donde vivían los portillos.
yes.
Okay, that street, the church street, is that
That's
L?
L, that's L.
Okay, all the way down, all the way down. And then the next street, I don't know,
M,
no.
you
There
have,
was-
you have
no, it
L,
was
and you have
L.
K, and then L.
It had to have been K then.
Okay.
Because it was not the one where Cervantes used to be. It was the one before. But supposedly, I remember hearing adults talking about that it had taken all the houses that were on the edge of the river. But there was so much water that it came into our neighborhood, into that cul-de-sac area. And
The
it
cul-de-sac, this is on Fifth.
Mhm.
Fifth
That
and
was
O
on
Street.
Fifth and O.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
right there. And it was filled because the house where we lived is still there, but there's a porch high above the ground, and the water was almost to the level of the floor. So we were standing there looking at the boys playing in the water, the guys, there was a lot of young men living in our neighborhood. And they put us in tubs, I told you.
In
And
tinas,
they
they put
gave
you in
us
tinas.
peanuts and they push us around very
They put you in
carefully.
tinas and they built a little
Yeah.
platform of your dad's
Yeah,
lumber.
my dad's lumber.
Of your dad's lumber, and then they put the
us-
tina on top of the dad's
Yes,
lumber.
yes.
And then they
yes.
gave you rides
Yes,
on the
yes.
lake that
and
was.
of course we were all happy about that. Of course we were. We didn't know any better. But it was serious.
So the flood had some benefits. You had some fun with the flood.
Yeah, we had fun. Yeah, and the sequía was overflowing.
Uh-huh.
It was just coming down like a huge long waterfall.
Uh-huh.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Looking back now, I remember all that. I remember very well.
Well, you lived on Fifth Street, okay? El barrio La Calle Cinco,
Calle Cinco.
when you were growing up.
Mhm.
There was a plunge there.
Mhm.
The Caldera, tell us about the Caldera
Caldera.
plunge.
Yeah,
And
everybody.
what year was this, Virginia? What year that you were going there?
What year? I was about 12 years old.
So it must have been the 30s?
Late 30s.
Late 30s, okay.
Late 30s. I was maybe 10, 12 years old. I
Okay.
don't remember. But we were there almost every day during the summer. We were there. It was, from O Street to the end of past Congress. That was far. And yeah, all the kids went swimming there. Everybody liked to go there.
Uh-huh,
It was a lot of fun.
uh-huh,
It was a lot of fun. That's the only thing South Colton had.
uh-huh,
We didn't have anything else.
uh-huh.
And then
Well, the other plunge was in North Colton.
in North Colton,
Why didn't you go to North Colton plunge?
because they did not allow us.
Mm. Mm.
There was Mexicans were not allowed. But the new where was it? The Hub City Theater
Yes.
right here.
Yes, uh-huh,
Okay. We used to cross the tracks coming this way.
right.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
Cross the tracks. Okay.
So you would come from
Behind, you remember that?
La Cadena, north on La
Yeah,
Cadena?
yeah, Calle Ocho.
And then you would hit I Street
Yeah.
or Valley Boulevard?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we had to pass J Street, which was just the Chamber of Commerce was across the street. Okay, we'd come to the theater early to buy our tickets. There was a line of kids and the ushers and the box lady, the one that was in there. They didn't want to sell the little Mexicanos tickets.
Hmm.
They did sell them, but it wasn't until I think they did a little things of discouraging them,
Mhm.
But most of my little friends, my young friends, were very dark from the Reserva. Okay, do you remember the Reserva?
Yes,
It's all the way
yes.
down Fifth Street.
Yes.
It just happened that most of the people that lived there were very dark. Some of them had very kinky hair. So a lot of them looked black, but
Mhm.
they were not black. They were the Chavezes, Lunas. My aunt lived in a corner of that area, Casillas. Do you remember George
Yes,
Casillas?
he was in my class.
He was my cousin.
That'll be done.
And very good-looking man.
Yes.
Very good-looking boy. And they lived in that area. So when we would go, me and my sister, my brother, my little brother, we'd go. We were very timid. We got pushed around very easy, and we were small. We were little people, And we would go to the end of the line. How come you don't forget things like that, Because we'd go to the end of the line, of course, because we were supposed to be there. And all these little white kids would come from here and there, and they'd go to the front of the line. And nobody told them anything, okay? And being as young as I was, I used to wonder, well, why we were here first? Why are they getting in there? All blondies, red hair. I remember one in particular, a young boy, about 9 years old, red-headed with freckles. Oh, first time I saw him, I did not like him. I did not like him. He reminded me of a bully now. And okay, so we waited. Kids would come, push us out of line, get in line. It's true, it happened. And one day, I don't know what made me do it, because I remember that I wanted to cry because I thought somebody was gonna hit me. You know, we didn't know anything about beatings or anything. It was somebody was gonna hit me. So I was in line, and I saw my little friends being pushed back all the time, and I noticed that I wasn't as dark, you know. I noticed that I was kind of light complected. And you know what I did? I went, and there was this friend of mine, her name was Jenny, and I said, Jenny, in Spanish, you want me to buy your ticket? And then, you know, she was scared. Yes. So she gave me her dime. I asked the other dark kid, do you want me to buy your ticket? Yes. But a couple of the boys said, no, they're going to beat you up. They're going to hit you. Okay. I just took a chance. I got the money for 3 tickets. My tickets for my brother, my sister, myself, and my 2 friends. Okay? So I stayed in line, and somebody came to push me out of the line. So I pushed back just like that, you know, because I was afraid. Just went like that, like, no, you're not going to get in my plate. And I don't know, the kid must have thought, well, she's serious, so he went away. But I kept walking. The line was big, one big line. And so I got to the box office. So I bought I bought the tickets that I was supposed to buy. I think it was 50 cents worth of tickets. So I went back all excited to my friends, which were still back there. I went all excited, gave them their tickets, so they got out of line and went into the movie. And the ushers were like that, you know, and we could only sit on one side of the theater, not on the other side, okay? So I went and sat on the white people's side, and they went on the Mexican side. That happened to us several times at the New Cone Theater and the Hut City. That happened, and it did happen.
Uh-huh.
The same thing happened at Mr. Hunter's ice cream. Do you remember Mr. Hunter? The same thing happened. You know, what's his name? These guys wrote a story on the paper about it a couple of years ago or so.
Yes.
I do not see the Hunters were right. There was an alley
Uh-huh.
after the Nicole Theater, and then it was Mr. Hunter's ice cream. I do not remember a window like this guy said. I do not remember that window.
Yeah.
I do remember going in to the, just me, and buying cones for my friends. And Mr. Hunter made us a cone. But he would never give us the cones until he saw the money on the counter.
Okay.
So we put the money in here. Where's your money? Where's your money? Okay. And we just pointed, you know, we didn't speak a lot of English, right? And then he'd give us our cones. We'd go on, you know. But after that, the kids took advantage of me as like, buy my ticket, you know. and I did when I could.
So you were the messenger.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I did several times with
Be-
them.
Besides the theater and the ice cream place, were there any other incidents where you were discriminated against?
Oh, yes, the pool, the Colton's Municipal Plunge.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There, they would not let us, I went maybe twice in my life there, because the story they painted, you know, the story the guy said sounded gross and ugly. See, the Mexican kids were allowed there on Fridays, so they could clean it. They allowed them to go in, pay. They had to pay. They allowed them to go in swimming. They swam all day, but towards closing time, they were told to scrub the wall, you know, the sides of the pool and everything. But that was the only time that I remember
Uh-huh.
that Mexicans were allowed to go swimming.
What about restaurants or shopping and,
Adele's, you remember Adele's dress shop?
yes.
Adele, do you remember the Burrows? Johnny, my husband's cousins,
Mhm.
the Burrows, Johnny and Frankie. Do you remember them? They were cousins to Danny and my husband.
Uh-huh.
They were French. Their father was Frenchman. And Tia Rosa was my mother-in-law's sister. Tia Rosa and my mother-in-law were complete opposites. Tia Rosa was light complected, light hair, and Grandma, my mother-in-law, was dark, like Indian, an Indian. And the Burrows were white. They looked like white people. And Annie, the oldest of the Burrows, she used to work at, where was it? Adele's dress shop. It's still there.
Yes, I know where, yes.
It's still there, but it wasn't there at the time. I think it was right next to the arcade, but I
Okay.
don't remember.
Okay. But it was downtown.
Yes, and Annie was working there, and she didn't know I was Johnny's wife, her cousin's wife. And I went in, and I was looking at the dresses, because that's all she sold, dresses. I did not know it was an expensive store. I only had $10 with me, and I did not know. So I'm looking at the dresses, and Annie comes to me, not knowing I'm Johnny's wife. She comes to me and she says, "There is nothing here for you. Everything is over $20, okay?" I knew I didn't have $20. So I said, I was embarrassed because I only had $10. But I said, "I know you, because I had seen her at Tia Rosa's house. And I said, "I know you, you're Annie Burrow." And of course it wasn't Burrow anymore, she was married. And she says, "Who are you?" And real peseta. And I said, "I'm Virginia Gonzales, I'm married to Johnny, your cousin." Oh, her attitude changed. Oh, no. And she's patting me on the back and telling me that, telling me where to go buy a dress because I couldn't afford those. So, yeah, there were places like that where the Candy Palace, they discriminated really bad with Mexicans. They really did. Not until
Did you
after-
experience any?
Oh, yes, me and John did. We
Uh-huh.
were just married, and we went in there. I cannot remember the lady's name, but she died just a few years ago. And we were sitting in a booth, and they wouldn't serve us. And I told John, "Let's get out of here. I don't like it. We've been here a long time." People came and went. From eating, what do you call them, banana splits to Sundays, floats. It was really, really nice in there. So John wanted to treat me to something in there, and they wouldn't come, and I told John, "Let's go." We didn't go, and they finally came to our table. John said we wanted a root beer float, okay? They brought us a root beer float, and they practically threw it at us, really, really. And God forgive that woman, because God knows I'm telling you the truth, because she was like that. But she changed in her later years. She got very sick, and she changed, and everybody used to say, "Remember so-and-so?" Oh, she's not the same. She's changed. But, and I know she died. She died, and like I say, God rest her soul, forgive her. But, yeah, that was another place that did that.
What about restaurants, Virginia? You said you saw a sign, no,
No, whites only. Whites only. That was Mr. Hunter's. That was Mr. Hunter's, because they had hamburgers and stuff like that. And they bragged because Shirley Temple had stopped there
Right,
at
she
one
did.
time. And
1935.
Yeah, so I remember the whites only thing, and the whites only thing in bathrooms and things like that. But there were not too many restaurants in Colton that I can remember. My father had a restaurant on N Street and 7th. Do you remember the Bolero,
Sí,
the cantina?
sí.
Well, my father's restaurant was right across the street on the very corner. It was called El Rancho Grande,
Uh-huh.
and it was during the war. and he had a lot of business with servicemen and Mexicanos, braceros
Uh-huh.
that came by.
Where was it located, Virginia?
Right across the street from the what do you call it? Bolero.
Bolero?
The cantina. There was
What,
a cantina.
what was the street? Seventh and?
Seventh and N.
Oh, okay, got it.
Seventh and N.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. And he had a lot of business. My father was a very good cook.
Uh-huh.
He was, I would say, a gourmet cook.
Mhm.
And he made a lot of pit barbecue, which people came from all over to buy his barbecue.
Mhm.
And he slaughtered his own, you know, the cows, pigs, lamb, goats. Yeah.
Then, where was his little ranch? Also on?
It wasn't a ranch, it was right there on Fifth Street where we lived.
Uh-huh.
But he made the whole corner, there was an alley, and all that corner, he corralled like, because we had a couple of horses, and he corralled all that, and he had a kind of like a garage, which was more like a shed,
Uh-huh.
ugly looking thing, and that's where he did his work,
Oh,
his
okay.
slaughtering. And that he did that. He
And-
made his pit barbecue there in the house. He had a huge pit in the backyard.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it smelled delicious.
Did he make chicharrones?
Yes, and he made cheese. He made cheese, and he made Montelai. You know what Montelai?
No.
Montelai. I'm sure that's what he called it. Montelai is the stomach of the cow.
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay.
Menudo.
Well, no, it wasn't menudo. Montelai was the blood of the animal.
Oh, yes, okay.
Then
okay.
they put vegetables and all kinds of vegetables in it, and whatever seasonings he did, I don't know.
But your dad was quite a person
Oh,
because
yes,
he had a lumber yard,
Yes,
he
yes,
had
yes.
a livestock, he
Yes.
had,
So-
he also, you said also had a garden?
yes, well,
He had a garden?
we had what, we called it ourselves our victory garden. He just said, and jardín, you know, but, it wasn't no big thing, it was just in the front yard.
Mhm.
Because we didn't have like a lawn or anything like that. There was no place
Uh-huh.
for that. That's why the fields were our playgrounds. And he made this and put it in the barbecue thing. And when it was done, I'll always wonder how my dad knew that was done. And he'd take it out. My brothers would help him and put it on the table. And then it was sliced, like you slice ham and stuff like that. And he would sell it like that. People came from all over to buy his barbecue. I
uh-huh.
remember that.
Uh-huh.
I remember looking at the people.
Yeah.
White people. There were blondies there, so they had to be white. But we had, at that very same time, years, we had, do you remember Grandma's Cakes? A big company, a bakery. It was called Grandma's Cakes. Okay, I remember the man that drove the big truck. I don't remember his name, but I remember the man. He was a white man, kind man. He felt sorry for the Mexicans, of course. So every time he came to buy lumber from my dad, he would bring big boxes. Maybe they were just big because we were so little, but big boxes of day-old bread, you know. And he would put it there in front of the kitchen, and he would tell my mother, he didn't know my mother's name because he didn't call her by name, so he'd say, to share it with your neighbors. And that's exactly what we did. My mother would go out on the sidewalk and send us, go tell Doña Maria, go tell, we had 3 Doña Marias across the street. Tell Doña Maria to come and get some bread. And the girls, the young girls, came because they wanted the sweet bread. And he would bring us a lot of that, a lot of sweet bread. We probably ate it all green. But that was a lot of fun.
big treat, eh? A
It
big
was
treat.
a big, big treat.
Big treat.
Big.
Earlier you mentioned the Caldera Plunge,
Mm-hmm.
and also you mentioned that there was a bull ring there. Yeah, tell us
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, there was a bull ring. I remember going maybe 2 or 3 times. I don't think it lasted too long, but I remember seeing the toreros and the bulls And I remember the coup de grace when, they go and cut the ear off the bull. I remember that, and I thought it was so cruel. I thought it was so cruel, and my father said, it's nothing in Spanish, it's nothing. They have to do that. They have to do that. And yeah, there was a bull ring.
Yeah.
And
There was
like
also a baseball field there.
oh, there, no.
No?
The field was up there on the alfalfa fields.
Okay.
That was above our house,
Uh-huh.
over there near Rancho, right off of Rancho, where you see all those new buildings, Brittany or something like that.
Yeah, that was
Brittany.
the cement plant baseball field.
Well, I don't know whose
Yeah.
field it was, but they played. The Mercury's played there.
Oh, they did?
Yes, yeah.
They
The
did.
Mercury's played there, and I had friends from East Highland that, from my Ninos were from East Highland. They had a lot of children, and one of their boys, Robert, but Ballesteros, he used to play with the Mercury. So we used to go. We were young, 13 years old. That's when I was getting all my mail. I was noticing boys, and Robert used to bring his brother Manuel, and a couple of other boys from the barrio, the East Island. But it was a good, happy time.
Uh-huh,
It was
uh-huh,
happy time.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you also mentioned that your dad, because I told you that I lived on O Street, at the end of O Street, where the dump was, the city dump for Colton, and that's where I lived. And I used to have a lot of fun going there every day after the dump trucks dumped their load. And you mentioned that your father was in charge of the Redlands dump.
Yes.
Now, you also mentioned that you worked quite a bit when he was in charge of that. Tell us about that experience.
Well, when my father took charge of that,
The dump in Redlands.
yeah, the dump in Redlands, we didn't, we were young enough to know what was going on. We knew that my father said, you have to get up early and go help me. And mostly our job was because they had built, somebody before my dad had built a rock house there. All of from the Santa Ana River, all the rocks were from there. They built pretty good sized house. My father put partitions inside, like for me and my sisters, because at a time when my mother and father divorced, we didn't want to be by ourselves in South Colton. So sometimes we'd spend the night with my dad. And so our main thing there was to have a fixed lunch for my dad and my two brothers, actually 3 brothers. And then came my little brother, who turned about 12 at that time, and my father had him working there too. So they all worked there. But our primary thing was keeping the house up and having something for them to eat. And after that was done, he'd make us go, well, he'd tell us, we need help up here, And we'd go out there and hold the hoses, wet the cardboard so it'll get soft. To this day, I do the same thing at my house. I wet the cardboard to put it in the trash. And my kid said, why do you do that, Mom? Why don't you just cut it with a knife? I said, what? Don't be ridiculous. You wet it, fold it, and throw it in there. And now they do that. They do that. And one of my sons says, don't you dare tell Mr. Rivera, he doesn't know you, but he said, don't you tell Mr. Rivera that you worked in the dump. And I said, why not? I'm not ashamed that I worked in the dump. And he said, well, you shouldn't tell him. I said, well, if I feel like it, I
Well,
will.
you know what, Virginia, the best times in my life was seeing the dump trucks pass in front of our house, and we would run to catch them. And after they dumped what their activity, we would go through the things, and we would find
Trash.
toys, comic books. We would collect rags, just all kinds
Yeah,
of things that were there.
yeah.
I would imagine you also had a good collection there at Redlands.
Oh, Redlands City Dump was very big, because my father, every night towards dusk, he had to go in his little truck and go to the very end of the dump. There were little roads, dirt roads, and he'd have to go all the way to make sure, because they had to burn certain things and certain, other things they would pull to the side or whatever. I was scared because to me it was dark, and then you could see the big flames, and I didn't like to go out there at night because there were rats there were rats out there running all over the street. But yeah, we did help him, and with that, with the packing of the cardboard, and what else did we do for my dad there? Uh, Keep him company, I guess, another thing, because he was lonely, because it was a sad time for him, I think, um, because of their divorce and all that stuff. But we were all there for him, but he would go on binges. You know, drink,
And then going back to Pine Street
Mhm.
in Congress, where you lived with the Gonzales family, your mother-in-law.
Was that
Your little, ¿cómo se llama? Your little brother-in-law, Danny,
Danny?
would choose you
Yeah.
to play on the
Yeah.
softball team
Yeah.
or the football team.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, just that. I'd come out and just to look, watch her play. And he'd call me, when he was serious with me, he'd call me Virginia, And I was looking at him, just looking back, because see, my mother-in-law wasn't going to tell me something, because I was just visiting, we didn't live there. And he'd say, vente a jugar pelota. And watching my mother-in-law, she was so good. My mother-in-law was so good. She was my mother-in-law for 25 years. We never had a bad word with each other. And so I would just yell out so she wouldn't see me. I would talk to her as I was walking. And I'd say, voy a jugar con Danny. She never answered. So I went and I played with them. They took me wherever they wanted, except in baseball. They wanted me to be a pitcher because I was the best pitcher.
You were a good
They
pitcher.
said I was. Yeah, and it was Luli and Danny and un cavachor, Tommy Tamur.
Tommy Tamur.
Yes,
Tommy Tamur.
Tommy Tamur.
Tommy Tamur.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I don't know whatever happened
And then
to them.
Eddie Dominguez.
Eddie Dominguez, he's still alive. I
Yes,
believe. Yeah.
lives in Colton.
Gilbert
And also Freddie Van Aken.
Freddie Van Aken. Oh, he was a very dear friend of Danny.
Uh-huh.
And Freddie Van Aken and Kimbo.
Uh-huh.
Kimbo. I can't remember Kimbo's real name. Was it Alfred? I can't remember his name. Ruli was the younger brother. Raul.
Raul was the
one.
younger brother. He was
Mhm.
also a friend of Danny's.
I cannot remember Kimbo's real name.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, remember Kimbo used to ride a scooter? Had a scooter. He used to come to 5th Street and take me to the plant on his scooter.
Ah, ah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, Virginia, living in Colton, we mentioned that there was discrimination back then,
Oh, yeah.
and that you did experience discrimination,
Oh,
and you did not have a chance to finish high school, but you had a wonderful, wonderful family life with Johnny and your mother-in-law. Now, how many children do you have now?
I have 6 children.
Okay.
Six, yeah. I have 2 boys and 4 girls.
Okay.
Mhm.
And do they all live in Colton?
No, Helen lives in Redlands. Johnny lives across the street from me. Damien and Mary live with me. Gina lives on 2nd, right behind the junior high.
Uh-huh.
And Barbara lives on Highland, in Highland.
So they're pretty close.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
close.
they're not far from me.
Yeah.
The only one that went far away was my granddaughter. She lives
Uh-huh.
in Idaho. She moved to Idaho.
Uh-huh.
And she took my 3 great-grandchildren, so I miss them very much, very, very much, very much, very much. But they say they're gonna come this before Halloween, so I'm just hoping that it's true, but I don't think so. I don't think they can afford to come with 3 babies,
Yeah.
because they're all under 5. So
Good ages then. Those are good ages.
they're tiny, they're beautiful babies,
Yeah.
beautiful children,
Uh-huh.
very beautiful children.
I know we're running out of time, Virginia, but
Okay.
I can't hold back on this question. What did you guys do for recreation? Did you have a group of girls that got together and played? I know you didn't play canicas.
Oh, yes,
but-
we did. Oh yes, we did play canicas and we beat most of the time. There were a couple of boys that had their chutis, okay.
The chutis, eh?
Yeah, they beat us with the little steel ones.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Las
we
Tilis,
played.
Las Tilis.
We played with all the boys across the street, the Delgados, the Gonzales, Barreras. Oh my God, yes, we played everything.
How about hide and seek and
Oh my gosh, hide and seek, kick the can, dance in the streets. We were never bored. We always had something to do. Even we even played dolls, which we made up ourselves, just pieces of rags and stuff like that.
Oh, you made your own dolls?
Yeah, well, we thought they were dolls. They weren't really. They were just.
To you they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we didn't have pretty little dishes to serve. We had colored beer bottle glass. Those were our dishes. So, no, we were never bored. That's what I tell my children when I see them. Oh, there's nothing to do. Oh, there's nothing to do. Or sitting with that computer thing. I say, oh my God, how can you stand it? To this day, I do my own yard. My grass is ugly right now, but I can't water like I used to. So everything's really, really, I try to keep my backyard nice because my 2 great-grandchildren love to be in my backyard. I have a lot of trees and all kinds of things in the back.
What about weddings and baptisms and dances and things like that?
My husband and I used to go to every nice dance there was because we like to go dressed up. We like to dress up. And we went to all the fundraisers of Orange Show, and we started going to the, what is it called, on Mount Vernon many, many years ago, Crescendo. I don't know if you ever
Yes,
went there.
yes.
But when it started, it was very, very nice. Very nice. And everybody went all dressed up.
And we
there.
had wonderful bands in Colton. The Latin
And,
Lads.
oh my
and-
gosh, do you remember the Pango Pango?
Yes.
Remember?
Yes,
John
yes.
and I used to go
You
dancing
went there?
there. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, that was a little cubby thing right there.
It was
And,
on 8th Street, was it?
Yeah, right in front of the Wilson School.
Yes, yes, yes.
Down the little road.
Uh-huh.
That's, what street is that?
Well,
starts with an X, F. What is
Fog?
it?
Fog?
That's the street, that's the street. And it was a little nightclub, but inside was all decorated with palm trees and all
A
that kind of
Hawaiian
stuff.
theme?
Yeah. And what's his name? Martinez used to play there.
The Latin,
¿Cómo se
tall
llama?
guy, tall.
Yes, Nick.
Nick Martinez.
Nick Martinez. Yes, he used to play there, and then we had Sal Vasquez.
Yes, yes, yes.
And who else did we have? Later on in years, we had other bands that we used to hire for my children's weddings. But
So you went to the Pongo Pongo Club,
oh
eh?
yeah, John, Tia Tommy, and Paul Esquer.
Yeah.
They were married at the time, and they took us. We were just married, and they used to take us there. It was nice. I liked it. I liked it because it was so close to the house, right there.
Yeah. What about the Valley Ballroom?
I only went there one time, and they made me get out. They said I was too young. So I went with my brother, and my brother, I was young, and there was a bar, and my brother said I couldn't stay. So from the Valley Ballroom, he had to take me all the way to 5th Street.
Back home.
Yeah. And he also tried to get me into the sombrero. At one time, I was in the 8th grade, and it was some kind of celebration of somebody. Some club was having an initiation, something, and I was in that club. And the lady that ran the club said, "Oh, you won't have, in Spanish, you won't have any problems because you're in the club." So we were supposed to wear formals. So I was there, and some gentleman was going around asking, I guess, for ID, and my brother showed his ID, and the man said, "I want to see her ID." And he said, "No, she's with us, like a family, I guess." And he says, "No, we can't have her in here. They're selling liquor and all that kind of stuff." So again, he had to take me home.
So you were ahead of your time, Virginia.
I was ahead of my time, yeah, I guess.
Let me ask you the last question. In looking back at your life in Colton and growing up in Colton, and having all those wonderful experiences, good, bad, or indifferent, lo que sea. What was the best part of Colton that you remember in growing up in South Colton?
Best part?
Yeah. Or the best memory that you have?
Well, the best memories was when I was under 15, under 12, because after that it was more like hard work. We had to work, we had to help, and it was like you can't go anywhere because we couldn't, how do I put this? Well, we couldn't go anywhere. There was nowhere to go really other than the show, the movies. Remember we used to call it the show?
Yes.
It wasn't the movies, it was the show. And that's the only entertainment there was. There was nothing else. And then when Veterans Park came up, we were not allowed to go there because pachucos were there and all that, you know. So my mother and my father and my older brother, we'd find the excuse that my brother lived in the projects with his wife. So we'd say we're going to visit Helen and Henry, and can we go? Yes, but you cannot go through the park. You have to go on the street, all the way Pine Street into the project.
O Street and Pine Street and then the housing project. Yeah.
So that. But I tell my kids, you know, my childhood was happy because we were innocent. We didn't know. There was no. The people were nice. The adults were nice. The young men were nice. My father was very well known in Colton. All the young men that knew my father had a lot of respect for us. If they saw us, me and my two sisters, walking to the show or coming home from the show, they would say, son las hijas del Señor Horta, cuídalas, you know. And I swear, we had like bodyguards, but they would kind of follow us until they saw we got home.
So the best thing about Colton that it was pleasant, it was safe.
It was safe. Yes, it was safe.
And people took care of you.
Yes, people took care of each other. Yes, I think so. I think so. I have some friends that have passed on, and I saw them at the reunions. Oh, I was so happy to see them. And do you remember Irma Zamorano?
Yes.
She was, a dear lady, dear lady. She showed me how to do my first stitches in sewing, and she lived across the alleyway.
Yeah, she
But
passed
she
away
was
about 3 years ago.
Yeah, just recently, yeah. Actually, 2 years. What's her name? Yolanda was telling me, 2 years. And she was a very sweet lady. But all those people were caring people. And they, you know, the mothers used to help each other when they had babies and stuff like that. You don't see that anymore. You don't see that.
So
Except
that's a
me.
big change now, eh?
Oh, definitely. But like I tell my kids, you know, I see somebody that needs me or needs some of my food or needs some of my clothes, I will be there. I will help, you know. But I'm not going to go help the prisoners like Father says. You need to go read to the prisoners and visit them. No more. You can't go to prisons anymore and visit ugly things. I would
Well,
never.
Getting back to Colton, it was a good experience for
Good.
you.
I love being Colton.
Yeah.
I love Colton. I do not like a lot of the changes. I do not know who I'm going to vote for, but I would never leave Colton.
Very good.
No, I have my plot at Formosa next to my husband.
Oh, so you'll be in Hermosa. I
Yes,
think
I'll
all of
be
us
right
from
there.
Colton are in Hermosa.
Yes,
Yeah.
my whole family's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wouldn't leave Colton.
Yeah.
Even to visit, my sister that lives in San Diego, she says, come and visit me. No, she says, she's pretty well off. She has a nice house. She's got a big room, and it's all fixed up for company. Stay overnight. I come home.
I'm from Colton,
I'm
so
from
leave me
Colton.
alone.
Leave me alone. It's
Well,
all-
Virginia, thank you very much for
Oh.
being with us this afternoon.
Did I
Thoroughly
bore you?
enjoyed. No, you gave me a lot of information.
Mr. Acosta, did I bore you to death?
Not at all. No.
There was a lot of information,
Oh.
right, Frank, that we didn't know about before?
Oh.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, there's still a lot more, so one of these days I'll talk to Mr. Rivera about a lot.
we'll do another one then.
No.
And
no,
thank you very
no.
much for bringing these pictures of Fulton.
Yes.
You know, the old high school, the old
yes.
plunge,
And
the
this-
old the arcade
Mhm.
building.
That was is there another
Yeah.
high school one here?
There's another high school there underneath there.
This one?
Yeah. Yeah, there's two
Yeah,
there.
there's two. No, but I remember going to the old school
Yeah.
when I first started school. I remember the old school, going through here, and there was upstairs up there, right in the middle. You went up there. I had one of my classes in one of these rooms,
Uh-huh.
and I remember they didn't like us.
Who didn't like us?
The white
Oh, at the high
people.
school?
The white people. They didn't like us.
I didn't get into that, I thought,
No, they did not like us.
so they
But
didn't.
you know what they liked?
Uh-huh.
Our tacos. Our tacos.
Uh-huh.
They wanted to change the bologna sandwiches for tacos.
Uh-huh.
That's what they liked.
So when were you in high school? What year? Was it 40, early 40s?
47 and 48. That's when I was.
And
in
they
high
still didn't like us during those years, eh?
They didn't like us. There was very, very few that would associate with you.
Uh-huh.
Remember Miss Pesquera?
Yes, Spanish?
Spanish?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She was my teacher, and she always, because I write Spanish and English, and I spoke Spanish a lot, and she always asked me to help her. And I was so proud because she chose me to help her teach these otros mexicanos que no saben, you know. But it was very interesting with Miss Pesquera. I like Mrs. Pesquera. A lot of people did not like her because she was a good teacher and strict. You know, I liked about her. I did. Very good. Very good teacher.
Frank, did you have any questions?
No, not really.
No, he's bored to death, poor Mr. Horta.
Well, thank you, Virginia.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much.
You're welcome.